Hello and welcome to Bite Size Bible Lies, a show where I read the Bible to you. Come on my devotional. Come study with me, guys. This book is great. This is maybe the foundational book for all of Western culture, and so we need to really make sure that we understand what it says. In actuality, the reason to make this stuff is because when I was a Christian, I think I was aware that there was a rumor that there are Bible contradictions. But that was as far as I went because everybody in my social circle would just kind of tell me like, "Oh no, listen, don't worry about that. It's there's definitely an explanation for it, and there are no contradictions that are actually contradictions." And I just accepted that and moved on. But here's the problem. That's a lie. It's just super not true. It's just a thing that people say because they don't want to actually dig in and engage with the content. So I'm going to start on page 1, but not the page 1 that you expect. This is actually page 1 of the New Testament. So here we are in Matthew chapter 1. I'll be reading the New Revised Standard Version Updated Edition, which is the standard go-to scholarly text, from what I understand, although I cannot claim to be a Bible scholar. I'm just a dude who knows how to read English. And so most of the things that I'll be focusing on in this show, I'll just be talking about the plain English of the Bible, where necessarily we might get into like some translation stuff. But for most of these things, it really doesn't matter. We could just as easily read this in the King James, in the ERSV, I don't know. Anyway, we could read it in any translation you want, and it's going to say the same thing because today what we're talking about is genealogies. I know it's very exciting, but look here. I'm here in Matthew chapter 1. I've got an account of the genealogy of Jesus, the Messiah, the son of David, the son of Abraham. And this is really important, especially to the author of Matthew. Matthew's primary theological concern throughout his work is showing all of the prophecies that Jesus fulfilled. He's very concerned with the identity of Jesus. He wants to make sure that we all know that Jesus is king and he is the Messiah and he did fulfill all the prophecies. Now, the problem is that we'll find out later in the series, none of those prophecies are things that Jesus fulfilled, and it's all junk that Matthew made up, but we'll get there in due time. First off, though, Matthew is trying to convince us that Jesus is in the line of David, that he has a legitimate claim to the throne of David, because so much of Matthew's gospel is centered around the prophecies about the Messiah, which basically all say that the Messiah is going to sit on the throne of David, which is in the kingdom of Judah, I think. But David's throne, David ruled over a united kingdom, but I think his actual location would have been in Judah. It doesn't matter. Anyway, here's the deal. So down here in verse 17, I'm gonna skip to the summary part. So Matthew says, all the generations from Abraham to David are 14 generations. And from David to the deportation of Babylon, 14 generations. And from the deportation of Babylon to the Messiah, 14 generations. Now that is really, really quite the claim, because what Matthew's trying to establish is that there is this pattern that God has been setting up for over 1,000 years, setting up this master plan to bring the Messiah out. I'm going to switch this because there's so many fucking ads on this page. Okay. So this is the same text copied out, and what I've done is I've gone through and I've highlighted each generation because, again, translation doesn't really matter here. We're talking about numbers, and there is no translation for numbers. Matthew's claim is that there's 14 generations, and 14 generations, and that's something that we can hilariously easily test just by counting, and I'll show you how. Look, here, I've highlighted all of these in yellow. We're going to go Abraham was the father of Isaac. That's 1. Isaac, 2. Jacob, 3. Judah, 4. Perez, 5. Hezron, 6. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and voila. Look at that biblical truth. As far as I'm aware, there's no issues with this lineage. And one quick procedural note, in order to get this number, what you have to do is you have to count Abraham as one generation, and you have to count David as another generation. As a general, I think the math only works if you count it the same way in every paragraph, right? So in this next paragraph, I do not count David. And in the final paragraph, we have this man, Jeconiah, who is also not counted in amongst this. And I'm going to actually skip there because this middle paragraph is the one that's really interesting. But real quick, with that methodology, so Jeconiah is counted up here. We're not going to count him. So Salathiel is the first generation in this block. He's the father of Zerubbabel. Abiud is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then if you count Jesus, 13. Uh-oh. Hang on. That doesn't seem right. So we've already got a situation. We're not even one page into the New Testament, and we're already got a situation where look, guys, it's not. Look, listen. It's not like one of these, really ambiguous situations. Like Matthew simply did not bother to count these. He just didn't. I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. This is just wrong. Okay. And this is the kind of thing. I want to be really clear about one thing right now. I don't think that you should give up your religion. If you're a Christian and that's working for you, that's awesome. I love that. I deeply understand all of the value that a person can get out of a religion. I was part of a religion for most of my life. But you can't, guys, you can't hold the position that this book has no errors. You just can't hold that position because it just does. I'm sorry. Okay, and here's another one. So this middle paragraph gets interesting. All right. So if you just count the text as it is written, it's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay. 14 generations right there. But the problem is this is not the right genealogy. There are multiple people missing, and I'll show you exactly what I mean here. It turns out there's actually 4 people missing from this genealogy, and we're talking about just going from point to point. Just Joram or Jehoram just had he was the great grandfather of this man who this book claims is his son, and I've heard Christians, I think the automatic defense system that Christians have comes out, and it's like, well, it doesn't say that he was one son because God, he's at all time, and so really, this guy Uzziah was the son of Joram in the sort of ancient world sense that like I'm the son of Abraham, right? The problem is, one, that's stupid, and two, what we're talking about is a number of generations. That's the claim here that is being used to support this larger claim that Jesus is the Messiah. It is this, it's all fitting into part of God's plan. It's all great. But it doesn't. And if you don't believe me, here's the deal. It takes a little bit of work to actually suss out who's who, because all these people in the Old Testament have different names and stuff like that. But I found a resource here on agapebiblestudy.com, which I assume is some sort of liberal rag, that has done the legwork, and it's got references too. So you can look in the Bible and find what these people are talking about. The reason it's difficult is I don't think there's a place in the Old Testament where it just gives a like point-to-point genealogy, but it does over many chapters of many books tell the stories of these people. And so here is the deal. We're up here. So let me get my thing here. So we're at Joram. Okay, Joram is the son of Jehoshaphat. So here in the list, boom, King Jehoshaphat, 870 to 848 BC. He ruled. He was good. He was a good dude. He had a son named King Jehoram, who is also known as Joram. That's just how they have shortened it, or yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly how that works. If it's writing choices kind of thing, but it doesn't matter for this. Okay, Joram. In Matthew, it says Joram is the father of Uzziah. in this list, Uzziah is all the way down here. You can skip this one about the queen mother. That's a different situation. So obviously what this list actually is a list of the kings of Judah, which is patrilineal. This queen mother was just, I'm not sure exactly what the situation is. She reigned for a little while in lieu of her son Ahaziah, I assume. Okay, so Joram's son is Ahaziah. Is Ahaziah right here. So Joram is, we're missing Ahaziah. Ahaziah's son, okay, is Jehoash. It says right here, he is the grandson of Athaliah and the son of Ahaziah. Okay, so father, son, Joash. Once again, missing from the lineage. Amaziah is the son of Joash. Once again, missing from the lineage. And then Amaziah, was the father of Uzziah. So now we pick back up there. So we're back on track again, but now we're at 17 generations between David and the deportation of Babylon. And then there's actually one more interesting omission here. Between Josiah and Jeconiah, okay, down here, let's see, okay, so we've got a little more complicated situation down here. Josiah was king. He had a son, Jehoahaz. He reigned for 3 months and apparently didn't do very well. Another son of Josiah took over. His name was Jehoiakim. And then Jehoiakim's son was Jehoiachin, also known as Coniah, also called Jeconiah in the New Testament, which is this gentleman right here. So once again, we are missing a generation. So we're up to 18 generations in this block that's supposed to be 14. So now, instead of Matthew's claim that we have 14 generations from Abraham to David, 14 from David to Babylon, and 14 from Babylon to the Messiah, we're at 14 from Abraham to David, 18 from David to Babylon, and 13 from Babylon to the Messiah. Or if you want to be really sneaky and try and count Jeconiah down here, that puts the numbers at 14, 17, 14. It's wrong any way you slice it. And as an added little bonus piece of content, I know we're getting a little long in this video, add a bonus piece of content, this man, Jeconiah, also has an interesting curse on his name. In Jeremiah 22, we can come down here. So Jehoiachin, King Coniah, Jeconiah, son of Jehoiakim, in case you're wondering if it's the same person, king of Judah, wear the signet ring on his right hand, blah, blah, blah. It says, is this man Coniah a despised broken pot, a vessel no one wants? Why are he and his offspring hurled out and cast away in a land that they do not know? O land, 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 hear the word of the Lord. Thus says the Lord, record this man as childless, a man who shall not succeed in his days, for none of his offspring shall succeed in sitting on the throne of David and ruling again in Judah. Now, I personally think that it's true that none of this man's descendants reigned in Judah. Although actually, I think if you look into it, I think he does actually have some descendants that sat on the throne. I didn't really look at that for this video. But I think that because Jesus also did not sit on the throne of David in Judah. So I guess in that sense, this prophecy is true. So I like to end on a high note. We'll stop it there. Thanks for watching. And please stop believing that this book is true. It's silly.